I feel like saying that YouTube is full of garbage is not only stating the obvious, but also a massive understatement. I mean, there is a very good reason why no one ever willingly clicks on the trending tab unless they like torturing themselves. But a quick glance at the homepage is often also enough to make you question humanity. And one type of videos that fall into this category are the many gaming is dead videos. And today we will be taking a look at one such video. The title of this video is Gaming is dead and we are to blame, and comes from Maxstan. Now this is a video I had saved for quite some time now and kept sitting on it because I had other videos that took priority. But now we will finally be taking a look at it. So with that, let's get right into this shit.
Has this ever happened to you? You really have the strong urge to play a video game, so you boot up your system. And you head over to your game library, and once you are here, you just scroll through all of your games. And you might do this a few times. And while you're in here for a few minutes, you're just staring at these games, and you realize something. You're like, you know what? Nah, I'm gonna watch Netflix instead.
I seriously fail to see how this is at all relevant to the discussion at hand here. In this anecdote, you simply got bored of all the games in your library, or maybe even the hobby in general. That has nothing to do with the hobby being, quote, dead. That would be the equivalent of getting bored of football and then going to the town square with your 3-step ladder to screech like a banshee about how football is dead. It makes absolutely zero sense.
This is something that has become way too common as of recently for gamers, where we want to play something, but instead of actually playing something, there's nothing actually that we want to play.
Okay, first of all, unironically using the term gamer is not really a great start here. But then also, yeah, no shit. The longer a hobby is around, the more people will get bored of it. But guess what? It also means that more people will also get into the hobby as well. I mean, this shit is the most easy to understand thing in the world, but how much you wanna bet that this guy will conveniently ignore this part so that he can push his bullshit narrative?
And instead we'll watch a movie or watch a TV show, and it's simply because either the games aren't that good or the games are stagnant and the playing is kind of just boring.
First of all, a game being good or boring is purely subjective and as such has no relevance in the discussion. And second, if you seriously claim games got stagnant, then I have to question what games you're even looking at. Innovation happens all the fucking time, and not only that, but the current state of innovation in video games can also be applied to movies. So by your own logic, wouldn't that mean that the movie industry is also dying? But of course, he's not gonna keep that same energy because that would mean that every hobby on the planet is dead, according to today's logic.
And it brings up the question, is gaming dying or is gaming already dead?
And this is yet another thing. All these retards pushing this same bullshit narrative never show any statistics to support their claims and instead just provide anecdotes. And that is simply because if they showed the actual numbers that matter, they would fall flat on their face. It's common knowledge that the video game industry is more popular and more profitable than ever. So unless these people have hard proof that states otherwise, there is no point in listening to any word that comes from their mouth.
And these are statements and questions I hear all the time from gamers and viewers of this channel.
Source? Okay, let's be real, we all know what his source is.
My source is that I made it the fuck up.
Why are games so stagnant? Why don't I feel like playing video games? And I think it comes down to it's because of us, the consumer of these video games. It's our fault why games are no longer good.
In the ironic twist of events, he is right, but not for the reasons he thinks. Yes, the problem is very much in you, but not because of anything you'll list, but simply because you got bored of the hobby. The industry itself isn't dying, your passion for the hobby is. And that is entirely your own personal problem, which does not reflect on the industry as a whole.
Let me explain this.
Well, I just did, but go off, Queen.
When developers make a video game nowadays, it's not because they're trying to make a good game. It's all about money.
You mean to tell me that companies want to make money? Damn, bro, what a crazy revelation. Next thing he will tell us is that water is wet. Also, sorry to burst your bubble, but video game developers and companies always primarily cared about money. This is seriously like walking up to the noodle manufacturer and saying, you only care about money. Like, no fucking shit, bro. Companies are not charities, they want fucking money. Always have and always will, and it is stupid to claim otherwise.
Developers are trying to cash in on what's gonna bring the most money with the least amount of effort. And this is where the problem lies.
This video honestly feels like a kid learning about money and coming to grasp with the reality that his favorite toy manufacturer doesn't give two shits about him. I mean, to be fair, that is a pretty accurate description of this video.
Developers actually don't have to make a good product to sell a ton of copies. All they have to do is have a big name and maybe a huge content creator backing them, and all of a sudden this game is super hyped, everybody wants to get it, even though they know it's gonna be bad.
Okay, now this guy is just fucking delusional. A game has to be at least somewhat quality in order to perform well. I mean, just look at something like Forspoken. That game was incredibly lacking, and not only did it flop, but it caused an entire studio to get shut down because of it, despite them sponsoring content creators. Another example, Cyberpunk 2077. Despite pretty much rigging the reviews, people were so outraged about the game when it launched that the developers almost got fucking sued by the Polish government. But wait, how is that possible if all you need to have a game perform well is sponsor a few content creators? Also, what about Halo Infinite? Or anything else you wanna put here? You honestly have to try to make a statement this fucking brain dead.
Just think about it, guys. When we talk about a game like Call of Duty, this game comes out every single year, and collectively as a whole, gamers kinda agree that Call of Duty isn't that good.
Okay, a few retards on YouTube is not a representation of the public opinion. And especially not if you listen to motherfuckers like Blameshoot, who will threaten copyright abuse the moment someone calls them out on their bullshit.
Terrible commentary. Most of the video is actually just me. And if I was a real big dick, I'd just copyright strike him. But I'm not. Maybe I will now. I don't know. I am kind of feeling pretty dickish for Christmas.
Yeah, not really a good sign of a mentally stable individual. Yet despite this, people still buy the games. And why would they buy something that they don't find fun? Oh wait, they wouldn't. And I've already given examples in the previous segment. So that instantly disproves your point right here.
Honestly, I think Call of Duty is the perfect example of this. Call of Duty is a game that is released every single year, and actually it is one of the top selling games of the year every time it's released, and simply because everybody buys the game because it's so popular, even though everybody collectively says that they don't like Call of Duty.
What's that? People enjoy Call of Duty? No, impossible. It couldn't be because 10 people on YouTube said so.
It's kind of strange to me that people flock to games like this and they actually buy them every single year knowing that the game isn't actually that good. We are literally, as a consumer, enabling these developers to not try their hardest and bring us a quality product simply because they are selling millions of copies every single year and it's all our fault.
This honestly just feels like gatekeeping at this point. This is literally him putting his own opinion on a pedestal and saying that if you don't share it, you're ruining the video game industry. Because I don't find value in Call of Duty, you shouldn't either. That on top of more anecdotes with no sources to boot. You honestly have to try to be this pathetic.
And honestly, if we wanted these games to be better, all we have to do is not buy them, but it's never gonna happen because people are sheep and they follow the herd and they follow what is trending. So of course, when we talk about video games dying, we the consumer play a massive role in this, but we're not the only reason why gaming is dying as a whole. Let's talk about new IPs or brand new video games and how they steal ideas from everyone else.
This motherfucker seriously wants every video game ever made to reinvent the fucking wheel. Seriously, what is wrong with a video game taking inspiration from something else? If every video game ever released had to come up with entirely new genres, entirely new gameplay mechanics and everything, video games would not exist today.
There is no more originality when it comes to game development.
Once again, because he said so, but sure, show no proof for that one either.
And this brings us back to that statement we made earlier about gaming feeling a little bit stagnant and stale. Every single video game nowadays is copying each other.
What?
Bruh, this retard did not just say this shit. Where have you ever seen a video game like Vampire Survivors? Where have you ever seen a video game like Inscription, or Ultrakill, or Wild Frost, or Phasmophobia? Oh wait, you haven't. And even if you could draw some similarities with older games, that doesn't mean these games didn't innovate, and it also doesn't mean the developers were even aware of those older games. You really seem to be generalizing a lot here, which says more about your lack of research than it does about the video game industry supposedly dying.
There's no more originality. Just think about how many battle royales there actually are right now.
And cherry picking yet again.
We have Fortnite, we have Apex Legends, we have PUBG, and there are many more. Everybody is just copying everybody. There's no originality. They all make the same game with their own twist on it.
So he literally admits these games have their own unique twist, but still runs with this narrative that they somehow have no originality. This guy might genuinely be fucking retarded.
And it kind of makes me miss the good old days, the golden era in my opinion, the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 days. In my honest opinion, this truly was the greatest time to be a gamer.
Really? Because everything you just listed was just as prevalent back then. But then again, we've already established this guy's IQ is below room temperature, so I'm not really surprised.
We had so many great titles releasing during this time, and everything felt brand new and refreshing. No one was copying each other. No one was trying to one-up their competition by making the same game just with a few improvements.
Now that is an objective lie, and this guy knows it. Literally the most infamous example is Call of Duty 4, which was literally made to overthrow Halo. Competition always existed in the industry. Hell, even earlier than that example, look at the countless Doom clones which were made to literally compete with Doom. But of course, he's going to conveniently ignore all of this yet again. He's really trying hard to be as disingenuous as humanly possible.
Everything was original, and I think that's a huge problem with modern gaming today. Everyone's just copying each other. There's no more originality. We had games like Metal Gear Solid, Halo, Gears of War, Forza, Skyrim. I can go on and on.
And all those games borrowed elements from something that came before. So how are they exactly different than all the games I listed earlier? Oh wait, because he's cherry picking examples yet again.
The 360, PlayStation 3, and I guess you can even put the Wii in there. This era of gaming is unmatched in my opinion. Now, of course, gaming has changed and the landscape has changed, and really all people want nowadays is a good multiplayer game.
What?
So I guess no one cares about Hollow Knight Silksong then, or Ultrakill, or Elden Ring's single player. Nope, they only want multiplayer because this guy said so.
So these single player games, even though they are high caliber games that we get nowadays, they are not going to change anything. They're not going to change the gaming landscape, right?
Oh really? Is that why Vampire Survivors literally created a new genre of games? So this comes down to him lying yet again.
So we did have two very, very good games released recently this year. Those being Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok. And of course, these two games are up for the Game of the Year award. But, like I said, multiplayer games are what are running the gaming industry right now.
Is that why Elden Ring literally outsold every primarily multiplayer game on the market except Modern Warfare 2? And why God of War Ragnarok did as well, with the added exception of Madden? You gotta love how we live in an era where all the information we need is one Google search away, but retards like this guy still opt to just talk out of their ass instead.
And we truly need something innovative when it comes to a multiplayer game.
I feel like I responded to this enough times already, so I won't waste my breath.
Now, I'm not saying that we don't need these single-player games, because they are amazing, and when I think about the greatest games I've ever played, they are all single-player games. Now, the problem is that when you play these single-player games, you only play through them a few times and then you move on to something else. And that's just the nature of single-player games. Unfortunately, they're a game that just isn't going to keep you around forever like a multiplayer game will.
Entirely subjective. I mean shit, I've been playing the fuck out of Doom 2 in the recent years, and there is no shortage of single-player content for that game. Same with Call of Duty Zombies, or Ultrakill Cybergrind. The list goes on and on.
And that's where gaming really is dying. We need some sort of multiplayer game that's gonna come by and just change things and make everybody go like, okay, this is the game I want to play. This is the game that I just think about non-stop. I cannot wait to wake up and play this game. And there really is just nothing like that in today's landscape.
Literally fucking how? Look at a game like Escape from Tarkov. It's not even fully out yet people still live and breathe that game. What about Overwatch 2, as much as I dislike that game? Or any of those battle royales you mentioned? Even upcoming titles like Payday 3, you already know people are gonna play the fuck out of that game. So once again, lying through his teeth. I can't even imagine being this fucking pathetic.
So at the end of the day, it falls back on us consumers. Because all these issues I just listed are because we enable these developers to continue with these types of actions. The reason why there are unoriginal ideas, but one way a developer makes something new, all the old stuff is still selling, right? It doesn't matter if people think or not. There's something money. Somebody keep making the same sequel over and over. They keep copying each other. It's what sells. Money is the real money. It's not about passion anymore.
Yeah, I sped it up because he's basically just parroting every retarded point I already responded to. Hate to break it to you, man, but saying it twice will not magically make it true.
So, us the consumer, we are the ones who have to change things, and we are the ones who are gonna have to let the developers know that we don't want the same game over and over. We want something new and innovative, and it's never gonna happen unless we stop buying these games and stop giving these developers our money.
And lo and behold, we are getting new and innovative games all the time, so where's the problem?
What is the problem?
So, with the development process out of the way, and the consumer buying these unoriginal games out of the way, let's talk about you the player and why you might feel bored, or you might feel gaming is stale or dying.
You got bored of the hobby. Boom, explained it for you in 5 seconds.
And I think it's really simple. There's two things to think about here. The first thing is, you have gotten older, and the older you get, the more responsibility in life you have, the less time you have to play video games, and there just are more important things to do in life than play video games for many people.
Not many people, everyone. Video games are literally made for you to waste your time when you have nothing to do.
Now, this also goes back to most games are the same, but you're just at a time in your life where there are other priorities. There are things that just, are more important to you. Okay, so that's the first thing.
Did this motherfucker really try to say that because video games are similar to one another that they are less important because of it? Video games are not important in anyone's life, period. No one's life is going to be negatively impacted if they don't get to play a video game. They are luxury products, you do not need them. And I already know there's gonna be some retard who will try to yell at me in the comments for saying that video games are not important, but I don't know what you want me to tell you. Video games are pastime, and unless your job revolves around them, you do not ever need to touch a single one, and that's the fucking truth.
And it's kind of obvious, you're older, you have other things to do. Maybe you have a family, maybe you have some kids to take care of, you have a job, things like that. The second thing is a little bit different, and this one's also kind of obvious, and you probably haven't thought about it, but it's most gamers only play one type of game. So for instance, if you only play shooters, and that's the only type of game that you ever play, of course you're going to be burnt out on these shooters, and you're going to feel like the playing field has gotten a little stagnant. It's because you're playing all these shooters, and in reality, they're all going to be very similar. So maybe broaden your horizon to other games like RPGs, sports games, or maybe even some scary games. And this goes for every genre of game. If you only play one genre of game, of course you're going to get burnt out on it, and of course you're going to get bored of it. You need to try other things out. There are so many games out there to be only playing one genre of game.
This is probably the only thing in this video I'd somewhat agree on, so yeah, there you go, man. You see what you can do when you stop taking this shit so seriously.
And this kind of leads me into another issue with gaming and why developers don't want to try new things. It's because of us, the consumer, and us, the player. We only play certain types of games, and they don't really want to pour their resources into a game that's just not going to sell.
Yet despite this, different developers still test the waters for different types of games all the time. And if those games end up being successful, then the big companies might follow suit. Just look at something like Call of Duty's DMZ.
Even though the game might be fantastic and it might be amazing, it never is shown the light that it deserves because we're too busy stuck on our games like Call of Duty and Fortnite, and we just don't give these games a chance. And I think us as the consumer need to broaden our horizons to other games and just really give these games chances because it is holding back the industry as a whole.
Generalizing yet again, people will play other games they find interesting, and that is the simple truth. I mean, why do you think Elden Ring became so popular when the Souls series was always considered to be incredibly niche? If someone likes a video game, they will play it. Simple as that.
So when it comes down to it, I do believe that us, the consumer, play a huge role in why we think gaming is dead.
You heard it here, guys. How dare you like a popular game? If anything, pathetic gatekeepers like this guy are harming the industry far more than the people who just enjoy a video game these people don't like.
Now, do I actually think gaming is dead? I wouldn't necessarily say it is dead because as of right now, I do believe that video games are the most popular they have ever been in the history of gaming.
So this entire video was completely pointless by your own admission, got it?
So how could it be dead if it's so popular right now? It's just the fact that there is a lack of originality with games and that we just don't want to broaden our horizons to other games.
This is a perfect example of projection. He's refusing to take into consideration the many video games that did in fact innovate in massive ways so that he can push this bullshit narrative. So you should really take your own advice.
Anyway, with all this being said, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. My name is Mixstan, and I would love to hear from you in the comment section below on your thoughts on whether or not gaming is dying. And of course, if you guys did enjoy it, please hit that like button and maybe consider subscribing and joining the McNugget Army today. And of course, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.
And with that, we're finally done with this dumpster fire of a video. So I guess the moral of the story here is, gaming is dead because this guy is ignorant. Yeah, really puts into perspective the abortion that are these kinds of videos on YouTube. Nothing more to be said really. Be sure to like and subscribe to boost me in the algorithm. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.